Swagger on point when I step in. Signs in the air for the gang that you're repping. Don't get brave when I'm stepping in the rave. If you show man love, everything's okay. So looking for a lively rave to have fun in. If there ain't girls in the place, we ain't coming. Middle finger up to the Jake, stepping in with the gang. Please tell the police they can't come in. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Man a sign if you're down for the gang.
Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. We be busting the clubs, cause you know that we can. Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. Still rocking the show, still feeling the flow.
Welcome back, Juventinita, to the Juventinita Back to Black and White podcast. This is episode number 9 and a special Father's Day edition. So happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. I'd like to bring on a special guest for the Juve, Serie A restart season preview. I know there's been a lot of talk about this upcoming leg of fixtures that really we haven't got a great start to with the Coppa Italia. So kind of want to break it down, look at the different games, obviously talk about who we have in the lineup, and we'll get into a little bit about Bologna as well and what trouble that presents us. But just before I bring on this special guest that I'm sure all of you guys know, probably one of the most handsome Juve fans there are out there. Ladies, don't send me any DMs. It's not going to happen. But anyways, please, guys, if you could smash the subscribe button, drop a like, notification bell keeps you up to date. Obviously, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and those will be pumped out as soon as possible. Just drop me a line if you guys want to join the pod. We have a lot of games coming up, previews, post matches, and it's going to be a busy summer. So without further ado, let's bring in our special Juve fan from the Bronx, New York, Francesco, Juvecesco, as he's known on Twitter. Also, the blog Juve Thoughts, so check that out, guys. And welcome, Fra. How's it going?
It's going well. You know, could be a little bit better given the past two Juventus games, but given the gravity of life around us today, I guess it's going as best as it can go. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. But let's get right into it. So I'm not sure if you've discussed your story of how you've become a Juve fan, but let's get into it. How this great journey of depression and Scudetto wins, and how did that start out for you?
Well, it was interesting because, I was 6 years old, maybe 6, probably 1993. So we had a cafe where I'm from, where my dad would go. Typical Italian story. Father goes to the cafe, mother's home preparing Sunday dinner. And my dad would take me to the cafe with him, and I'd have succo di frutta, the pear juice.
Yep.
At the bar, he would meet me at the bar, and he would go play cards in the back with my zio, and they'd all be playing cards. And the games were always on. So you see these men reacting to the TV while playing cards. You're like, what the heck's going on, right? So I just remember being a kid, and I remember watching the screen, and I just identified a black and white jersey and a baby blue jersey. And I remember watching this game, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And what people don't know is I'm beyond, I wouldn't say infatuated, but when I say there's a respect that I have for an athlete and as a man as well, it's from what we know, from what the public could ever know, is Alessandro Del Piero. So for me, I was seeing, every Sunday morning with my dad, this young kid just scoring goals and Juventus winning and people celebrating. I'm like, this is cool. I want to keep doing this. And then, at home, my mom loved that I love sports because she had we had 4 kids. There's 3 girls, there's me. So she's probably relieved that she finally has someone who's into sports. She had the boy. So she put up, she used to put it on TV while she was cooking. I would stay home, watch. So, Juventus for me has been part of every day, I guess, since I was 6.
Yeah, no, it's you're lucky because I never got that line from my mother of Good thing he's watching sports. So it's good to hear someone else got that. But yeah, no, it's crazy with Del Piero. I agree 100%. What a guy. And I think a lot of the same guys that are on Twitter are kind of the same age. That's kind of the generation that we grew up in, was the Del Piero era. And it's just been unbelievable. Obviously, the ups and downs, the World Cup 2006, that was crazy. I'm sure it was crazy for you being in New York. But for me, maybe it was one hell of a ride, even being in Calgary, Alberta. But yeah, that was incredible.
That was the most amazing thing ever. My whole neighborhood, so I'm in a small Italian community here. And I mean, it's for all the Italians that moved on, they moved to different areas. But like during that between Germany and then France, my neighborhood, like the police just basically forfeited the neighborhood to us because we basically started our own peaceful parade. And like they were letting us run the streets, like cars were beeping, flags were rolling. I mean, you couldn't even walk. You could YouTube it. It's culturally ingrained. And I tell people that, like, when my friends don't understand, like, oh, wow, it's so boring, like this and that. I'm like, you don't understand, like, football, calcio, soccer, it's ingrained in particular cultures across the world, where it's like religion, family, calcio. It's like, it's pretty much all
you got.
And it's, even though Piero said it best. He's like, in Italy, before they name their children, they tell their kids what sports teams they're going to like. With soccer, like, it's just the truth. It's cool.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. News of the past couple days. Khedira, season over. Thank the Lord. Cut the guy a check.
Oh,
Send him the fuck off. That's all I gotta say.
I have been dreaming of this day since he first inked that contract. This guy's got to go. Not only does he have to go, but he has to go so far that I forget he existed, because he is the abomination. When you really think about it, and I'm going to, I got a bet. I finally got
do it, man. Do it. Just do it.
When you finally think about what we had, and I saw live, okay, I was there when we had the glorious midfield that we dreamt of all our lives, okay? When you take that midfield and you want to tell me you're going to replace them with an aging, slow, Sami Khedira, for example. There's others. I can keep going. I can mention other players. We're on Khedira right now. And you want me to think that this guy's going to be the saving grace, or, I got to like this guy because he's never created problems. Give me 100 people that create problems, as long as they're better than Khedira, and I'll take them on my roster. I don't care that Vidal crashed his car drunk. You know why? Because he's 100 times better player than Khedira ever was. So why am I still watching this guy? He played – I saw a stat. You saw it. 12 hours total.
It's fucking ridiculous.
He gets more money than Alex Rodriguez on a statistical basis.
Honestly, like I said, cut the guy a check, send his ass off so I don't ever have to see him in the stands or fucking anywhere, and fucking cut the cord, because this is
later on our broadcast.
Oh my god. Fucking people are out there defending him. We have it's funny, there's a guy named Inconvenient Truth, and shout out, but fucking we hear this guy and he's coming off to me. He's like, I want to talk to you and see why you feel this way about a certain player. I'm like, I don't give a shit if the guy doesn't fucking care what my feelings are. I'm going to fucking tell him to fuck right off if he doesn't like it. That's fucking too bad. He's making $6 million. He's like, well, what does it matter? I mean, that's this. I'm like, I would have so much more respect right now if he came out in the news and was like, guys, I've been horse shit for fucking 3 years now. I'm not going to even take your $6 million annually. I'm going to walk away, and maybe I'll go to MLS or wherever the fuck he wants to go. I'll have respect for the guy.
I don't want him there.
But we don't need this guy at all. At all. He's useless.
And another way I always, and I'm sure, I don't know, I've always looked at it this way, okay? You know why a lot of us don't hate, or we don't love Matuidi, but we understand Matuidi? It's because he's not making loads of cash. And guess what? He's still playing almost every game. Then I go there and I look at another athlete. I'm making €6 million, which, by the way, was a raise from the previous contract. So that baffles my mind. I would love to know what leverage he has on that front office, because whatever he's doing, teach me, because I got a lot of ways to use those tricks. But the other problem is he's really gotten to the point where you look at an athlete, you don't just look at their quality and the labor of their work anymore. Now you say to yourself, well, if this guy's making €6 million a season, you're now up there with one of the highest earners on my roster, and you don't even play.
Yeah, and that's not even looking at the Marquisio situation. Like you said, the 6 million raise. Then you have to look at that of treating club legends, and then it's just like, to me, it's just like, scrap this shit and fucking throw it away. Pull the Band-Aid and fuck off. Like, literally.
Look what Marquinhos did, right? I mean, what Buffon did. Pay cut just to be on the roster, right?
Yeah.
You want me to believe that we let Marquinhos go because he was injured, injury prone, and so forth, right? His knee was never going to be the same. And then I got to look here at Sammy Khedira, who I don't even know what part of his body broke down this time. But you want me to believe that he's also worth a raise? You don't think Marquinhos would have stayed and said, hey, I'll play for €2 million just to be on the roster as depth?
Oh, guaranteed. And he looked good. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, I watched that preseason and I watched every game that we played. And it was literally like, holy shit, this guy can actually, like, this could be it. Like, he's coming back.
I have a story about it.
Yeah, go ahead, drop it, man. Why not?
So, the year that Marquinhos was shipped off to Zenit, they did a summer tour in the U.S. My friend and I paid to go watch the practice. My friend, by the way, is a diehard Khedira fan. I don't get it. I don't understand it. He knows I don't. So if he ever listens to this, what he's hearing on this broadcast is exactly the same rhetoric that he hears in person. So we're sitting there at the Red Bull Arena in New Jersey, the New York Red Bulls that play in New Jersey. And we're watching Juventus practice. Allegri's managing, whatever. Marquinhos was tearing up practice. The guy was killing it. And even my friend was saying, "Why?" And he doesn't like Marquinhos.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why?" Like, he actually looked really good. And after practice, not even after practice, mid-practice, you see Allegri shift him into the practice squad instead of the starting squad. And my friend was even confused. My friend's like, I don't understand. He literally looked like and he's a coach. He's like, he literally looked like the hardest working player on the field. And I was like, okay, this is the stuff that I think we fans don't get to see on a day-to-day basis. I do believe that coaches push players out.
Oh, yeah.
After practice, Marquinhos was going off on our assistant coaching staff about Allegri. And
for real?
Yeah, we heard it. And I'm like, and that's why when people rip Bonucci, everybody forgets why Bonucci left.
Yeah.
He did not like Max Allegri.
Well, exactly. And that's why I think everyone wants to know what happened with Cardiff as well, is because that's a big cog into really what happened with the team. I know they did the fucking Netflix series, but they didn't really get into it, of what we really thought. But next on the docket, Pjanic now clashing with Sarri, the next part.
See you later, man. Milan has been real.
Yeah, fuck, that's crazy. I mean, obviously it's been denied by Sarri, which a lot of things have been denied by Sarri in terms of how he's dealing with the team. Yeah, that's going to be interesting now. It looks like Ramsey's going to be slotted into that right mezzala role in the 4-3-3 for the game against Bologna. Let's talk about, though, Arthur Melo. What do you think of this whole saga? Do you want the guy? I mean, for me, it's a hard pass. I don't think if that's what the holdup of getting rid of Pjanic is, they're not going to buy him unless it's a swap. Then I think we gotta make a tough decision. But what do you? The guy's had 23 matches with Barca this year, 3 goals, 4 assists, 91% pass accuracy. I don't know. I haven't really watched them, but I want to get your opinion because I know a lot of people have been talking points. So
here's my thing. I think Arthur's very good, to be honest with you. I think he's got a lot of upside. He's also younger. I get it.
True.
But when it comes to Pjanic, I don't think any of us could do our jobs right if we're not given the tools and resources necessary to do our job. Like, you can't tell. I teach, so like you can't tell a teacher to go teach a lesson, but then not put students in front of me. Who am I talking to? And that's how I feel that Pjanic has been penalized in the last 2 years, because he has had not a single person around him in the middle to take the pressure off him. And if you watch the game against Napoli, and any team that stifled Juventus, they all realize what you got to do. You keep 2 players anywhere near Pjanic at all times. And that's why Bonucci can't sit on the bench when everybody calls for Bonucci to be seated, because now Bonucci's got to play at Insta as a center back.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's a situation where we will never be good again until we complement the midfield. And for whatever reason, that's why I gotta be honest, I don't want to lose Pjanic. I don't. I think that there's still too much to be had in him. He's only 30.
Yeah, and you look at a lot of players, and you say that exact same thing. Like that was a lot. That's kind of what I discussed with Dybala last year, and everyone was like, "Yeah, but he doesn't this. I don't know where they pulled this mentality fucking card from. Whatever. I'm so over that shit. But from how well he's played now, and then people just suddenly forgot that they started talking shit last year, and we're like, "Oh, he made my. Now I approve of Dybala." It's like, yo, like stay in your lane, man. Hold your feelings to the same standard as you usually do. But it's like, yeah, I agree with Pjanic. It could be exactly that. And unfortunately, though, I think with the kind of numbers we're looking at, that's kind of something that you have to make a move. But then you're almost worried: are they really going to improve the midfield, or are they just going to do this patchwork shit? And that's kind of what the topic's been for the last 2 years is. Or even more, I would say, since Marquisio, Vidal, Pogba, Pirlo, they haven't, and they don't. Yeah, exactly. They don't want to fix that for whatever reason. And I think that also has to do with the league. But let's talk about obviously Dybala. It's here. From what Paratici's been saying, or what the media's been saying, extension till 2025, 10 million a year. Get this shit done. I don't know what the fuck's taking so long. Like still like year and a half now. Like let's go, guys. Next, Sarri sacking rumors. It's heating up. Some people are saying, let's see what happens in the next couple months. I don't know.
I'm iffy on that. What are you going to replace him with?
Again, valid point. I mean, we don't know necessarily where Pochettino's going, so that would be an option. But again, is it good enough? That's the thing. I think personally we've realized that Sarri, with this team that we have, is not good enough. If he has his team, that might take on a different opinion. But he's not going to be a coach that is going to be pragmatic like Allegri and be able to use a hammer as a toothbrush and whatever, so on and so forth. So that's not what we're getting with Sarri. Everybody's got to realize that. And I think it's, instead of being like every podcast, yeah, but he's got to change. I don't think that's going to happen. I would be shocked. Let me be honest with you. I'll be shocked if we see like a 3-5, he throws a 3-5-2 one game. I don't see it happening. So we're almost going to have to will this damn Scudetto, because I think that's the only way we're getting our hands on it, to be honest.
And, this is the thing that I think fans need to, be included at times. Sometimes we let the passion get in the way of the logic, right?
I agree.
And sometimes we really need to pause and think. Management knew exactly who they hired and exactly his system of play. They've seen him. They've played against him. They saw what he did at Chelsea. He runs the exact same system wherever he goes. And to a coach's respect, I think he has every right to have his own image in his game. Now, again, like you said, you can't use a toothbrush as a hammer. You can't give this guy nothing.
Yeah.
And he said it himself. He doesn't want individuals. He wants a team.
Yeah.
And I get it. When you play one-touch football, you need a team. Because now, this is not gonna go well for a lot of people, and this is gonna get dark. I've been saying it even the past week. I said, I hate to say it. I said, but this, in my opinion, needs to be the last year for Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And I hate saying it because I've always loved Cristiano. Even in the Messi Ronaldo debates, I've always been pro Ronaldo. But this has nothing to do against, and it's not even against Ronaldo. This is more along the lines of like $30 million a year in salary. That can get dispersed around positions of need right now. And give Pepe Marotta some credit. Look at what he's doing at Inter Milan with less of a budget and less of a leverage point to say, hey, Juventus we're a game away from the Champions League. What the heck are you saying? We haven't won a trophy since 2012, like, or 11. So you're Juventus, you got to sit there and go, we have a good coach. Sarri is a good coach if you see what he's doing. And it's just, we don't have a center forward. I love Pipita. I think he's still capable, but not at that salary.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. And we're definitely going to need him. That's the one thing.
I think he's going to start.
He's going to have to start starting because it's not. That's really the only options. I've said this multiple times. We're on the track and we see where the fall is coming, and really, you have no transfers to save you. You have no magic wand to come change things. It is what it is. We have who we have. And they're obviously even talking about Beruato, who is I believe, a fullback for the U23 team. And he's, let's bring him in. Like cut the shit of not bringing in young guys and starting them. If this guy we think is has some benefit to us, put the guy on the bench and let's see what he can do. Give him the chance. Like, I find that a lot of what Juve's problems are is we don't give these young guys chances. And again, like you said, with Paratici, it's really looking to me like he's the stooge that really Marotta was propping up. Yeah, he got the Cristiano deal. Yeah, he got the De Ligt deal. But other than that, there's been some questionable decisions. There's been some questionable extensions. There have been obviously fallouts and guys being sent away. I think for exactly like you said, we have to give the coach something. You can't. But as usual, Juve does their thing and goes, well, Allegri accepted everyone we gave him, so why can't you do it, right? And Sarri's like, oh yeah, yes, boss, I can do it, being a proud man. And that's just how it happened, it's...
Allegri's last year, look, and I'm sure you'll agree, and any sane fan would agree, no one can take away from Max Allegri what Max Allegri did at Juventus, period.
100%.
And he's arguably top 2 or 3 Juventus coach of all time. But then you factor this in now. His last year, and I would even say year and a half. Juventus,
2 years.
You would say 2 straight?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll take it. For me, a year and a half for sure. I'll give you the 2 years. Let's say 2 years. It was stale football. It was boring. It was literally like you sat on your couch and said, we're going to win 1-0 off a header. Like, then you fast forward, and Sarri's dealing with the exact same situation. So now, in my opinion, it's the personnel. You got the wrong player on the field who lack motivation. And I'm going to say something dark. I'd rather win no trophies this year. I'd rather bite the bullet, reinvigorate the roster.
And that's kind of what I've had in the back of my head for quite a while over these last 2 years is we need that kick in the ass. That kick in the ass if the kick in the ass hasn't come from the coach, the kick in the ass hasn't come from the management, and the players themselves aren't fucking fired up, we need something big enough that it's going to open people's eyes. And that's one thing. A cup like the Coppa Italia is not going to do shit. A cup like the Champions League isn't going to do shit because it's not like we're winning those. So at the end of the day, it's the same bullshit statements that we get. Oh, we weren't lucky. The draw, not everyone can win. It's a tough competition. I think that's all bullshit. When Real Madrid wakes up every morning, they don't say, well, we got a tough group this year, so maybe it's not going to happen. They go, no, we're going to go win the fucking trophy. We think we can beat everybody. Right. Even if, let's say, they're in a phase where their team isn't as great, where if you look at last year, I guarantee you last year they didn't think that I guarantee you they thought they could have won it last year as well.
Yeah.
It's mentality. Mentality's gone with this squad, and that's the main thing that a lot of people are touching on.
And the sick thing is, I don't think it's gone from all players, but I think it's gone from the greater majority. Maybe I'm biased, but I feel like Bonucci's played extremely well since coming in, and I think he's reproved himself that Juventus means something to him. And I think De Ligt has been tremendous despite the 7,211 handballs. It is what it is. And Pjanic looks disassociated right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he has not been able to play in his strong suit because of what's around him. But taken away from everything, there's not a game that Dybala's been on the field where I haven't complimented Dybala, and that's not even being biased. That's strictly
exactly.
who I think really wants to win with this jersey.
Yeah.
And he's showing his loyalty. He proved that he didn't want to leave in the summer when Fabio tried to swap him out for Lukaku, etc. And I was in Italy for that, so I was really not doing well in Sicily.
Man.
But it just, I think that this team's really got to consider the possibility that if we walk away with no trophy this year, it's still not the worst thing. If Lazio pulls it off, tip your cap to them. To me, they've been the best team in Serie A from day one until today. So,
I agree.
Champions League, I don't know about, and I'm sure we'll get into that more. But, and I think maybe this is enlightening in some capacity too. But 2015, 2017, those two teams Juventus had, those two teams should have won the Champions League.
Yeah.
And you look at Inter when they won the tripletta. They stunk for years after that.
Oh,
because what? That team that won was exactly what Inter was building for after Calciopoli. So Juventus had built two teams to win.
Yeah.
Now how do you refine that motivation? You had your chance. Your window's closed. Time to build a new window.
Yep. Exactly. And that's why I almost thought that if they wanted to extend kind of what Allegri was doing, they needed more of a motivational kind of guy that would light up the locker room. But then they went all the way to the other side of the spectrum of this attacking. And if you want to start a new kind of era, like you said, it's time. You got to kind of blow it up, and you have to make the right moves. That's just common sense. But speaking of loyalty and of someone dying for the club, we hear Del Piero's comments about the Napoli game, and he goes, on an emotional level, I think this is a strong slap in the face. I think it must be used and transformed into positive energy for the end of the Serie A season, and UCL, it must act as a motivator. We have seen there are problems, so they have to knuckle down and get things sorted out with more energy, although it'll be difficult to find in just 3 months. I got to agree with everything he's saying. They got to wake the fuck up. And I don't think we have the right people there to wake them the fuck up.
Nope.
And not even Agnelli, as much as he's done, I don't see the guy flip-flops on every fucking thing every year. And you hear his press conferences, he's flip-flopping. Oh yeah, Champions League's a goal, is the target this year. Oh well, and then when everything goes awry, it's something else. So,
I would like to just go off on them in person one day, but the reality is, when you're a club like Juventus and you've dominated the Italian league for as many years as you have, you know what? 2012, 2013, 2014, and believe it or not, I'd even say 2015 would be the years where I say, okay, maybe we're not really at Champions League level yet. We're getting there, though. But 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, now we're in 2020. You had 5 more years to bridge a gap on where you could focus strictly on Europe and win the trophy that we have not won since '96. Juventus can lose 18 straight years in Italy, and we'd still have the most trophies in Italy. Does anybody want to? I mean, that's realistic numbers. That's not fake. So when I put it together, I'm like, Agnelli, as a fan, tell me that our goal is the Champions League title. Because at least I know it's the truth. Don't placate, because now you're making me think like, oh, we're just, what is it like? You just feed the dog a little treat to keep it quiet a little bit, like the baby, Like, come on, we're better than that. Most of us.
Exactly. And let's look at the team so far. So, I mean, I think a lot of teams, they have the blueprint, right? That's the talking point. They know they press us, they sit back in the defensive half. And that equals a draw versus Milan and a loss to Napoli in the Coppa Italia final, which, like you said, they haven't looked great at all. They didn't look great at all. I think it was just more of who could score PKs better, and they obviously got the upper hand on that one. I mean, as of right now, and even looking into last year, it's the same thing. Teams got this blueprint down. I mean, no goals in 2 games. I believe that's the last time that happened was 2005.
5 years ago.
Or 5 years ago? Was it 5? Okay, then that was
5 years ago.
Okay. 5 years ago. So, I mean, really, I don't know what do you want to say. I don't know what.
Would you think as fans, are we spoiled?
You could. I think we take a lot of shit for granted. I think we take a lot. I think we take winning these titles the last 8 years we take for granted because you look at how easy they were. And maybe not the initial years, right? Obviously, the first year was a dogfight. The second year, what was it? The record points, I believe.
Yeah.
And then from there on, we've had a couple titles, but really, these teams have choked. Okay, let's call it as it is. I know Napoli fans don't want to say that they thought that Juve was stratospheric and that they didn't choke because they didn't want to call it that. But let's call it what it is. They choked.
There's the win.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I find that these past 6 titles, I would say 7 titles, they've been walks. Let's be real. We've been so superior to everybody else. There was no doubt in my mind, obviously looking back now, that we'd have those wins. So let's be frank. We've taken that for granted, and we've thought we could do that another year. And like you said, Marotta is doing an amazing job. And as much as everybody wants to make fun of Merda, which that's fine. I mean, go ahead. But they're going to be the ones that are improving heavily in the coming seasons because they've shored up that midfield. The only thing that I see that they're missing is fullbacks. And if that's your only problem, you're laughing. Yeah. You're really laughing at this point. That's way ahead of where we are. We don't know we don't have enough fullbacks. We don't our midfield. Yeah, it's crazy. So what are you thinking, man? It's fucked.
My thing is, I think you nailed it on the head too with Inter, because I think that they've done everything they need to do now to bridge the gap with Juve. And what Lazio is doing is exceptional with a roster that doesn't have a lot of interchanging parts. Now, if you're Juventus and you're trying to recruit Milinkovic-Savic, does he really want to come here now? Because part of me would be like, you know what? Where are they heading and where's Lazio heading?
Yep.
So, I think for Juve, it comes down to stop with the profile signings. Stop waiting for players to end up on the scene. Look at Haaland. We're going to wait for a guy to score a goal 2 times a game, every game? Yeah, you know what? You could have got him at 32. You could have got him at 35 million even. Instead, I'm taking it from a guy who went to go watch Kulusevski live. I flew to Italy for 2 days. I needed to know. I flew to Italy for 2 days to watch this guy. Okay? I'm at the stadium. Everybody's watching Juventus. I'm staring at Kulusevski on Parma. And I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, how is this guy a position we don't need, by the way? How is this guy the January signing?
Inter played us on that one.
Unbelievable.
They played us like a fool.
I could be wrong.
We'll wait to see when but again, that's not someone we're looking for to this year per se, but because we can't bring them in. But I think they played us. Marotta played us hard because they inflated the value, and then we said, well, we don't want Inter to sign the guy, so let's pay 40 million for him, even though we might not need him.
Well, look what Beppe did. If you really put it together, I mean, he was fantastic at Sampdoria as a director. Then he comes to Juventus, and he's fantastic off the bat. And it's like, okay, we can mock him all we want. We really are judging Ticci versus Beppe when Ticci's only good signing was Cristiano Ronaldo, and it still didn't even make sense for the roster. Then, fortunately, he comes back the year, and he gets Matthias Duke, right? And we had a good bargain for Demiral, but we also don't know if Demiral is going to come back the same from this injury. You never know.
True.
So, okay, he made 3 good signings in, 3 years? 2 years? I don't even know if I'm at. But I just get to the stage where one thing that I think Juventus do mistakes with is the transfer market, because we try to buy before – let me put it this way. We try to sell before buying. When I think that's a big problem, because it gives the opposition a lot of leverage to know, hey, you really want our player, right?
And we make it known. That's the fucking hilarious part. Everybody knows we want to get rid of the guy, and it's like, oh, there's 15 million off the price right there.
Right. Go buy the players you want.
Yeah.
Now sell what you could sell, because now it'll help you in the sale negotiation to say, you know what? I wanted 40 for this player, but the books will still be okay with 35. We'll take the deal. Instead, I got to look at Sami Khedira every week. I'm not doing well.
Yeah. Oh, I know how you felt, man. I know how you felt. All of last year was like a depression and a half, and then when you put it with the fans, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's look at the schedule ahead for the remaining games. We go match day 27. Obviously, that's going to be Monday for us. Bologna at Bologna. You look at the other games. Obviously, Lazio plays Atalanta on the road, so this is going to be a huge tie. I see initially. The 3 points I think are crucial because if Lazio slips up, they could go to 3 point gap or a 4 point gap. You
Yeah.
know, that's going to be key. We play Lecce the fall. Obviously, our next game's at home against Lecce. I think again another tough game because they drew us. We had a draw in the south there, obviously last half of the season. That's going to be a tough game. Then again at Genoa next, match day 29. Again another tough team. They give us
Always
fits.
play stuff.
I know.
don't get-
And then you look at the following week, we play the Derby della Mole, Torino. Again, another tough game, July 4th, Independence Day for you guys in the States. Which is kind of crazy because there's going to be obviously June 26th, June 27th, my birthday. I believe Al's birthday is the day before, the day after. So it's going to be interesting seeing all these games in late June, July. But then we play Milan next at Milan and home to Atalanta. So like it's progressively, I find like we've been set in a pretty tough schedule, remaining schedule. It's going to look,
ugly.
yeah, like especially I believe on match day 28, obviously when we play Lecce, you're going to have Milan at home to Roma and Lazio at home to Fiorentina. So let's hope for something there. When we play at Genoa, Atalanta plays home to Napoli. So that's a pretty big game. Because what I was saying before, I don't see I could see a big swing with some teams that you don't necessarily think are going to be there. I think Napoli's got some positive things to look at. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them come up to the Champions League if they won 8 straight or 9 straight games coming up. Sorry?
I think they're done for.
Oh, you think so? You think they're not going to have a good season?
I think they are going to have a good season. I just think Atalanta is still too strong.
Too strong
on that.
Fair enough. Fair. But then we look at on match day 33 at Sassuolo. Match day 34 is the big show, as I call it.
Oh,
Game versus Lazio, July 20th. Mark your calendars, everybody.
On a Monday.
That's going to be, these games are going to kill me too with my new job all during the week. So it's like we're going to have to put in some real work to do these previews and post matches. But
I think it's easier to watch Juventus, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's true as well. At Udinese next. Seems like the load is a little bit lighter towards the end of the season. At Udinese, match day 35, match day 36, home to Sampdoria. At Cagliari, match day 37, and then the final game at home versus Roma, which will seem that's going to be a tough test. Some other notable fixtures again. Match day 30 when we're playing Torino, Lazio plays Milan at home. Napoli plays Roma at home. Match day 32 when we take on Atalanta, Napoli plays Milan. Match day 34, Roma plays Inter at home for when we play obviously against Lazio. So it's weird they put these like fixtures on top of each other. Really interesting scheduling that obviously just happened to work out the way it did. But obviously, on 36 we play Samp and Milan plays Atalanta at home. Inter plays Napoli in 37. And on the last day, it's crazy. Napoli plays Lazio at home. Atalanta plays Inter at home, and we play Roma at home. It's going to be ridiculous if this title race goes to the end. And I think it's going to be very interesting depending on how we get out to how we start, how Atalanta starts. Who knows? You could even see Atalanta join this race. I wouldn't be shocked because we don't know what everyone's going to come out, who's going to get injured, what types of who gets on a head start, and so be it, and so forth. So, yeah, some interesting games ahead, and I just think that's crazy how it. And this was this was the schedule before. It's not like they like rearranged games and stuff like that. This is how it was. So I think it's going to be some incredible drama up until the end. What do you think about our schedule?
I think we are. Look, I mean, I'm also trying not to hit the panic button.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So a part of me feels like we should be okay enough to still be in the 1-2 spot all the way through to the end. What I love is that we played Roma at the last game of the season, because if there's anything in Rome that they don't want, is Lazio lifted the Scudetto. So
That is very true.
part of me feels like unless Roma's playing for a Champions League spot last day, they won't be as aggressive as normal.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants in Rome. You've been there.
Oh yeah, I have family in Lazio, so I've got people on both sides of the Roma Lazio debate. So
You don't want to be on the opposite side of Rome. If you're for example, if Lazio takes the Scudetto from Juve, you don't want to be Roma fans around Lazio fans for quite some time. And
Cinque Maggio, right?
yeah,
All over again. All over again.
I did know that's gonna be wild. I actually think Juve finishes. I think we win the Scudetto this year. Do I want it? No. Shouldn't rephrase that. I want it. Do I think there's a beneficial stance to us not winning it? Yes. But do I think we win it? Yes. And not by anything more than 1 or 2 points. So it comes down to the final match day. I think we're going to get the most anticipated finale in Serie A in forever.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty special, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100%. Yeah, I want us to win. Again, I want us to win everything that we play. But there is a beneficial kick in the ass that this team needs, and I think they need it sooner than later. I think if you prolong it and they keep the stance of doing the same thing, we're going to look worse. Like, the longer we keep this shit going, the worse it's going to get.
And the one thing you do is like give your enemies a chance to think that you're vulnerable. And the way we're playing, everybody now starting to think that we're beatable. I mean, even Sassuolo plays us tough more like compared to usual.
Yeah, exactly. And again, let's talk about a little bit of the injuries, the current injury situation. Obviously, we've praised Kadir out for the season. Alexandro going to be out. It's been 3 weeks, 45 days. They're not quite sure yet. Again, it's going to be a big chunk of games, I think, that he's going to miss anyway. So that's kind of unfortunate. Demiral getting better, but still not in training, or at least on his own regimen. Higuain could be back for Bologna, they're saying, but again, we're not really sure. It's doubtful. Ramsey looks to get, like we discussed earlier, looks to get back in the fold, which is nice to hear. Hopefully he's a lot better, because I would really hate to push the guy and then he gets injured again, because he is prone to these injuries, and that would be a huge blow to us if we force him back. And Chiellini, I think another key cog that we need back. Obviously, we're hearing July 4th is versus Torino is when he's going to come back. Again, I think he's such a huge piece for us. As much as people like to criticize him for his injuries, he is getting older, yes, but I think he's kind of key to our defense. You look at the games that we played with him, and like night and day performances.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at the formations. I think we're primarily going to stick with the 4-3-3 just because of the players we have. I would be shocked if we went with a 3-5-2 or anything like that. It looks like De Sciglio is probably going to slip into the left back for Alexandro. So that's kind of why I get on the youth. I think if we have a guy that is, even if he's doesn't have any experience, I wouldn't have any problem throwing in. Let's see what he's got. Let's see what he's made of. And if it doesn't work, well, what the hell do you have? We're fucking throwing De Sciglio in there, for fuck's sakes.
Do you ship Ronaldo to center forward?
Well, see, that's the thing. So that's another talking point, right? What does Sarri want and what does Ronaldo want? And I think if you're a player and the coach is asking you to play, you gotta fulfill that role. And especially a guy who's making 31 million a year, stop the whining and fucking start running. Like, I've seen too many times where the guy is walking on the pitch and it's like, you're making how much fucking money, and I see you whining and complaining about fouls and literally like hanging out in the center circle. And it's like, dude, like we have the respect for you, but like if you're not going to show it to the fans on the pitch and you're not going to bleed on the pitch, and that's another thing with mentality. It's almost like that grinta has been lost for a while now, and there's no one spitting blood. Well, there are some players that have that in them, but it's like when collectively you're not showing, it doesn't mean shit if a couple guys are singing it. You need the whole team to get on that vibe, right?
Oh boy, I love Mandzukic.
Yeah, and we got rid of him, and that's the fucking. And now that's the seemingly one of the most important things that we could use right now is a center forward. And
You got the most grinta on the roster.
exactly, the guy would go from one end to the other. Didn't give a shit if he had to play. If you told him to play left back, left wing, center mid.
There was points center back for us. We were defending
I know.
the Champions League. It was crazy.
So it's like you look at what we did to a guy who really wanted to be there, had a real connection with the fans.
Yeah.
And how they tried to make it like, and I it's kind of shitty because a lot of Juve fans were like getting at, oh, he's being a piece of shit and he's sitting on and he can just ask for a move and he should have just taken the move. And it's like, yo, on one hand, you guys don't want to touch Khedira's salary and other players' salaries. Then on one hand, you want to pick on guys because they don't want to leave. Like fucking again, it's a thing. Stay in your lane. Like if you want to be the guy, if you want to be against everybody, you're against everybody. If you don't, you don't. But have some sympathy for the guy. Same with Emre Can, another player who I thought would. You look at the guy, and he's fucking balling in Dortmund one game after he leaves us, and then fucking we make a huge stink about the guy. Oh, he's unprofessional. He shouldn't go on the word. Yeah, it's fucking unreal, man.
Too much. And the problem is like fans, and I've been guilty. There are moments when you reflect. It's normal to be overly passionate about a matter, but unless you're insulting Khedira, you need to hit the reflect button. Like that's my motto. Oh, but better that's in my mix too, because I'm glad everybody got to witness that play at the end of the Napoli game, where we all as fans were like, okay, well now we lost. They're going to score now, and they almost did. Okay, so I don't take back anything I've ever said about that prick. So here's the problem with Mandzukic. You look at his situation; it was never that bad on his level. The guy was hurt. He also literally played a whole Juventus season, including Champions League, where Allegri ran into the ground, went right into a World Cup, right into this World Cup.
And went to the final, too.
Went all the way to the final. Then he's exhausted. He's on his vacation. You know what I mean? Then he plays again. The guy's tired. I mean, the guy was burnt out.
Yeah.
Like how many situations? Don't you feel burnt out with work sometimes?
Yeah. And Allegri was forced to play him too, if you remember. He was forced to play him into the next season because we really didn't have an answer with Cristiano of who worked well with him. So we had no choice but to play him. And then
they were great together.
Yeah.
Because like Karim Benzema.
Yep, exactly.
He's a holder of the ball. He allows you to play. There was a reason why we went for somebody like Lukaku in the summer. Unfortunately, it came at the expense of Dybala. As much as Lukaku has no dribbling ability, the guy can hold up play.
Exactly.
Defenders. So you look at this and it's like, okay, well, you and I as fans, everybody listening, like we can talk, we can get angry at each other, we can disagree with each other. They're not listening to us. Fabio's not listening to me and you. He's not coming across my Twitter. I hope he doesn't, at least, because I've insulted him at least 48 different times Monday. You can't possibly, I'm learning at it. I'm 32. And when I was younger, I was, who am I kidding? I'm sort of still the same guy, but I was far more emotional. Like, I slammed my head against the wall, like a wall, like not like to break it, but like I bumped my head against the wall. Yeah. When we lost in 2017, my friend, I never watch games with people. I hate doing it.
Me too.
Hate it. We went down to the city. We went to Manhattan. We went to Football Factory. Well, whatever. We'll all get there. There's a Juventus club there. I get in there. It's a swimming pool of Real Madrid fans. I'm like, this is a disaster. I just knew this was a disaster. and then Mario scores the kick of all kicks, right?
Yeah.
I said he was going to be the difference maker. Scores. All right, we went to halftime. We look good. We're going to win this game. Downhill. I left that place 5 minutes early before I got into a fight. Not because I was saying anything, but I felt it coming on.
Yeah.
I believe my friend and I can't explain to you, it was the most somber bus ride back to the Bronx anyone could experience. There was not a word spoken. It was just like, again?
Yeah.
Like, again? And I don't mind losing, but when you lose 4-1, like, you're a laughing stock in a final.
Well, no heart too in that second half. And
That's the last
yeah, I agree, man. Like I've said it before. I want to say 4 or 5 friends that came over. One of them's a Bayern United fan, kind of. You know, he's Polish. All the Polish guys, they're all on the fence with the.
I get it.
And that's to you, Jesse. Pick a fucking team already, bud.
I get that. You got one team only, period.
But he likes Lewandowski. He likes fucking United. But anyways, I'm gonna get shit. We're gonna go at it after this podcast. Me and my best friend, who's gonna be on here soon one day. But anyways, Jesse, United sucks. You guys drew, so fuck you too. But anyways, yeah, no, I had basically Real fans, and that was I swear I don't think I've ever been dejected after a game. I had everything laid out too. I had the fucking scarves out. I had the fucking Juve flag with it was the Juve logo in the center of the Italian flag. And after that second half, man, I just sat in the basement and I was just like, this fucking team, they always rip your heart out. Always.
The worst. And it's like I went to the game. My first game was Juve Kiev.
Hold that. We'll go to the end. We'll get to the end.
Okay.
But let's get into a little bit of the season. Obviously, we won't go through every position. Let's see. Who do you think your Champions League and your Europa League spots will be? I'm gonna be like I said. I agree with you. I think Juve is gonna pull it out. I think Lazio will finish in second. I think Napoli will have a good season. I think they'll get up in there into fourth, and I think Atalanta will take third, and I hope Inter drops to fifth.
Wait, as a fan, or are you talking this is what you think's gonna happen?
Oh, this is a fact. I mean,
Right.
I think it's gonna mostly stay the same. I think it's gonna be a battle between Juve and Lazio, and maybe Merida, depending on how everything is. I think they have a good enough team, but I don't think there's experienced enough. And I think if things start not going their way, they're going to question. And who knows, maybe that'll even bring Conte's role as a coach into question. But I think, yeah, just as a fan.
Right. Deep down,
Merida fifth, Roma sixth.
I would love that. I'll tell you that right now. I would. I think it stays. I think the top four is exactly what you say. It stays. But I do think that Napoli pushed to fifth, and I think that Napoli give you a little bit of a run with Atalanta. I think it's going to be a lot closer to the 4 or 5 race and the 1-2 race until the last games of the season. Because I think Napoli's going to have something to play for. I think Lazio's going to have something to play for. I think Juve. And I would be pretty cool to see like a Hellas Verona, even
exactly.
climb up. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, they're looking good, and they have a lot of great players. Obviously, they have that defender that we've been looking at that, again, Inter's probably going to sign. And same with Tonali. Tonali, obviously, that's talking about transfers at least. But, yeah, no, they definitely have some key players, and they looked pretty good against Cagliari.
Yeah.
And actually, Luca Pellegrini had a fucking nice ball there. And, again, indecision in the roulette of Plus Valenza, and that's where we are now. How about relegation? Who do you see going down? I think Brescia's going to stay bottom. I think Spal is also going to stay bottom. And then really you have a toss-up there with Lecce, possibly Udinese, Sampdoria, and Genoa. But I think Lecce is gonna go down. I don't think they have enough. I would be shocked if one of the Genoa teams went down. And Udinese seems like they've always got that silver bullet and never seem to go down. But
I think Udinese is getting relegated.
You think so?
I don't. Actually,
Awesome.
really bad. They're really, really bad. Like,
Yeah.
Lecce plays Juve tough.
Yeah.
They're aggressive, Genoa and Sampdoria, I think, I believe all sports are a bit WWE. So I believe some of it's somewhat scripted.
Yeah.
If it comes down to it, going forward for TV ratings, especially now that Serie A is starved after the, coronavirus situation,
Yeah.
who watches Udinese? Since they had Toto Di Natale and Alexis Sanchez and Quadrado, they were stacked once.
Yep.
But
Oh yeah.
they were really stacked once. And since, no. So I think Udinese is just that bad. Like, I'm looking at their team right now just for my own humor, and I'm pretty sure my Sunday team we're at least compete. We're at least putting up a fight. Yeah, their best players are Rodrigo Di Paul.
Yeah. That's who I was gonna bring up. That's about it.
Oh my
And
god,
I think who do they have in net? Scoufet.
this is gross. Did you look at this? Have you looked at this? This is embarrassing. This is a professional team. They have Stefano Okaka, 5.
Okay.
Kevin Lasagna has 4 goals, and Nestadovsky has 1. So between their forwards, they have a combined 10 goals. After that, it's Rodrigo Di Paolo who has 5 goals, the midfielder. After that, there's nothing going on there. Have they scored goals this year? What is going on? They're that bad? I didn't even think, oh my God, they're really bad, guys. Sorry. I had a moment of revelation on your show. I
Hey,
knew
no worries, man. No worries. That's awesome. I like these moments.
they're really gross.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
the death toll there. I don't know who they got alive.
they have 21 goals on the year. No, 36. Wait. I can't. Get me off this thing's page. I'm losing my mind. That's
Let's see. They got, what do they got? 21 goals this year.
Oh my God.
That same amount as Ronaldo has.
Holy Moses. They're bad. They're out. They're finishing below spot. They're done.
Awesome. So what about Champions League? I think we beat Lyon in the round of 16. I think because they're not going to know what hit them. We're going to have the fitness. We're going to be starting right around when we end. And I think if we win the Scudetto, that'll be enough to kind of give us that push. But to be honest, I think we lose in the next round if we get a team like Bayern, to be honest. I don't have the faith. I don't have the faith of winning in the finals.
Just picked my Champions League winner. I have
Oh,
Bayern.
did you? Yeah.
Which I have.
They look good. That's the thing. They look good. They look like they're improving every game you see them, and they're killing teams. And I know they're going to have a little bit of a break now, and maybe they'll be a little bit off the gas because they've won the Scudetto of the German league. But yeah, like they look a fucking force, man.
They're good. They're deep. And if you look at their business model, they go out and they get a guy like Alphonso Davies.
Yeah.
Right? You tell me if you ever imagine in a world where Juventus are going to go and sign an Alphonso Davies before he becomes an Alphonso Davies. Okay? Sports and life are about risk.
Yeah.
And Alphonso Davies looks like a gazelle when he's on that field. Like, I don't even know when he's like on the TV. He's like, one second he's there, and the next second he's in front of goal. I'm like, I don't know where he went. But they're very good. I think Juventus do beat Lyon. Remember, people have to understand, we cannot give up a goal.
Yeah.
If we give up a goal, we're not scoring 3. And that's when I'm going to say, oh, I was wrong. But 2-0, I see us pulling that off.
Yeah.
I have tickets to that game. I don't know.
I know we discussed this. I know.
I don't know if they're allowing us in the stadium, but the sick thing is they're not refunding me.
So we'll get in after we get into Bologna a little bit. We'll talk briefly about Bologna, but we'll talk about Juve, the ticketing. We'll talk about some Juve fans. We'll talk about your famous headline or your username. We'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I can't believe they haven't given you the money back. And some people wanted to defend that, and I think that's downright bullshit. And I think you're an asshole if you try and say that, oh, the Juve, this massive corporation, needs 30 days for them to send out a message saying, yes, we'll give you a refund on tickets. You could drop that the next day and be like, hey, it might take a little bit of time for us to get you the funds, but don't worry, don't hesitate to let us know. We're going to drop you the money. Don't worry about it. No questions asked. And take the hit themselves. But yeah, we'll get into that.
The solution to 2 seconds. We can't give you the money back for your tickets. We will give you a $200 store credit or a $200 credit going forward.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people are reasonable like that, and they would take that because, like you said, people are going to buy shit the new jersey anyways, and do it that way. But again, yeah. So what do you think about that? You like that? You like this new painted stripes, if you want to call them?
I don't know if it was like to be honest, yes, I don't mind it. I think that fans need to let go of like we're from the Canada, US, right? So internationally, I understand some people where it's like we're the black and white stripes, it's supposed to be solid black and white. Do you know how many times as a kid I'd wear Juventus, like the fast web jerseys or whatever?
Yeah.
They'd stop me in the street like, hey kid, when'd you get out of Foot Locker? And I'm like, it's a Juventus jersey. Oh, what? I'm like, oh, okay. And I would keep walking. So I understand it on a marketing perspective, but I think what Juventus could do is maybe like a third jersey, kind of give you a little bit of tradition.
Well, exactly.
Instead of looking at this leopard.
Well, I look at all these other clubs, and it just seems like the Adidas doesn't put the effort in, because they're definitely making some like obviously kits that look like that represent the club, but also have some interesting. Like if you look at Real Madrid's, they have like some like floral patterns. I thought it was an incredible job that they did on it, and then they have some kind of like weird pink thing. But look at Barcelona's kits this year, beautiful. They got the fucking regular kit with obviously the yellow pinstripes. Then they got a black with gold accents, and then they have their like teal that they usually use. So I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary. I don't know. I've always been a fan of what Nike had done for us. It wasn't. I know, like you said, oh, are you a referee or Foot Locker, whatever the people would say. But I mean, to me, it's. I told everyone if they would have given us that one jersey with the crew collar with the button, and they fucking did that for 5 years, I would buy it with a different player on it every year, and I really don't care. It's one of the most beautiful jerseys they've made. Obviously, even the 120th anniversary. Look how simple that kit is and how amazing that kit is.
I love it.
Well, fuck you. I wasn't able to get one.
I mean, and then the Palace jerseys.
Yeah, those are. I love them.
I'm like, yeah, I got that too, but it's like at the same time, come on, it's like Juve. Like we're a benchmark of
exactly. Class. We're not some random Joe Blow club, right? Like you're getting some, but I don't know. That's something.
Get me back to Kappa.
Exactly. I agree 100%. The only thing is I wish they had the money to shell out, and I don't think they do, and that's kind of why we're stuck with Adidas and clubs that I don't think put in the effort. But anyways, let's just talk a little bit briefly about Juve Bologna. Again, we're playing on the road. Big moment with you playing, obviously, Lazio playing Atalanta a couple days later. I think we need a big win, and that'll act as a snowball that'll push us down the hill and kind of silence the critics. But again, I want a good performance. If I see a 1-0 and it's a good performance, I'll be happy. But I want a 3-0 Juve, Ronaldo, Dybala.
Look, I'm hoping you're right, but I have a weird thing about poetic justice, and I got a bad feeling Orsolini's going to sting it. So
yeah, I did think about that. I
really have a weird feeling. I don't know. Think about it. Instead of getting Kulusevski, we could have brought back Orsolini.
Yeah.
Like, what would have been the problem? But you're right. And as a sports, somebody who knows the game, the game, like a 1-0 win, but a well-played 1-0 win where you're controlling, you look good in your moments, even if it sparks some moments, you can say, all right, it was a good win, tough opponent, and Bologna is no walkover. They're a good team.
Right.
So, yeah, I would take a 1-0 win and a good performance, but I think we're going to draw.
Yeah, I agree. I would a reasonable mind would not disagree with you on that one. But yeah, I think with the Mihailovic story, he got his extension. I think that adds to a factor. I think they're a pretty strong team together. You know, it's something that motivates the guys. You look at what happened with Fiorentina, obviously, and Davide Astore. But so I think those things do factor in. Before we get into question time, let's discuss a little bit about Juve Twitter. And I know this is going to be hot topic, hot takes, interesting topic to go. But, you know, you're known as, I think the first time we really started talking, you were on known as the anti-Juventini Juventino.
I am.
So let's get into that. What statement are you trying to make to us?
Well, for me, I see so much on Twitter, right? And outside of Twitter, I see so much in my day-to-day. You know, fortunately, I grew up around a lot of Calcio fans where I hear people. I'm part of a club. I'm on the board of the club in Westchester. And
Check it out.
Yeah, Juventus Westchester. Thank you. And the whole thing is, as a sports fan, as a soccer fan, as a Calcio fan, you grow, right? When I become more educated in the game as the years went on, from a little kid on and on and on and on, and I don't want to sit there and banter with somebody over emotion and stupidity 24/7, where, like, you know, and I don't mean this to come out right away this way, but there's no other way to spin it. Anybody in their rational, irrational mind who's out there giving hope to Federico Bernardeschi, okay, for the most part, are the female Juventus Twitter fans, okay? And here's my issue with that. Set aside his looks. One, he's not into you. I promise he's not into you for so many reasons. One being I'm right about what he is. So, two is he's not good. He should have stayed at Fiorentina another year or two, develop, and not come to Juve. He's not Juventus caliber. So to sit there and say, oh, but he's still young, like he still can do it. The guy does not want to be there. It's too much pressure for him. It's too much. We don't need players like that. But Juventus, the anti-Juventino, Juventino, that whole thing started when I started to see people defend Allegri regularly.
Yeah.
I started seeing people slander Leonardo Bonucci, which to me is beyond pathetic to do. And I'll tell you why. You've made mistakes in your life. I've made mistakes in my life.
Yep.
I've made decisions in anger in my life.
Yep.
And I've recognized those decisions, and I've grown from those decisions, and I've become a better person the day after those decisions. And I think when you look at Bonucci, he's done everything the man can possibly do to show how much he loves Juventus. If you look at our goals scored, he's there before the forwards are celebrating. He's there with the group. And to me, and the ultras will tell you, he loved the fans. He loves being part of Juventus. And for what it's worth, emotion aside, Chiellini is done, people. Chiellini is finished. And until you can come to grips with that, you got to understand he's done. He's literally been injured for every major Champions League game we've ever needed him. So for me to sit there and see people slandering Bonucci and putting Chiellini on the high horse, I'm like, look, I like Chiellini, but let's hit the pause button. He should be back on Bonucci in the modern game. So that's just something. I see a lot of stupidity, and it bothers me. Now, I don't mind if it's a conversation. Like, me and you get into it on Twitter, but it's conversational. If it's you, like, condescending, you know, something that just doesn't make sense without backing it up, I'm like, well, what? Like, some guy over there just defended Khedira the other day. I said, for me, it's how? How? And then these girls on Twitter, stop. Just stop. Like, you only have followers because you're in a male-centered pool and you're the rare thing. But 99.9% of what you tweet, I'm laughing at on the other side of the screen. Laughing. Because if you put that in front of me, I'd stare at you. Okay, I'm done venting. That's how it happened.
No, it's hilarious. I agree with you, and I think a lot of these different accounts, I don't know if it's more of the ego's gotten to a level where they think that they need to defend the club in every instance. And I mean, I'd hope you're on the payroll at that point. I mean,
right.
if you're gonna say that and the only way, see what gets to me about Twitter, and I've always said this, is a certain group of people, and some people do it obviously in anger, or someone came at them in a certain way, and they generalize the whole community. But when it comes down to telling fucking people what their opinion needs to be about the club, I don't know what it is. It fucking makes my head want to explode. And I'll see it and be like, well, if you guys don't like this, if you guys are complaining about this jersey, why don't you just go to Real Madrid, or why don't you hand your Juve card in? I'm like, first of all, who the fuck do you think you are to tell me what I could say? You don't pay for my tickets to go to the stadium. You don't pay for my flights. You don't pay for my memberships. I spend up the ass with these fucking jerseys. I already dropped $500 on fucking 3 jerseys. So it kills me. It's like, who you're judging people, and it's like, do you get off on this shit? That's what pisses. That's just like, the motivation behind it. I don't understand. And then you got people blocking because they get with this whole Allegri out, and people are blocking because their feelings are getting hurt. And it's like, just have a discussion. You know, I've gone to the point, like I've said in my first video, I've been an asshole on Twitter. I admit to it sometimes, and sometimes, whatever, shit happens. And I usually own up to it. But there's people that just, and I'm learning, just stop the conversation because it isn't going anywhere. Right. You know, literally. But I see these fucking Allegri apologists. They're coming even back now, and it's killing me, man. I'm like, what the fuck you bringing this guy up for? What are you bringing him up for, man?
There's no reason to. And my friend's a guy, my good friend. You know, I go to games with him and everything. And I told him to his face. I said, you know what? The only thing I can say is a part of me feels like, you know what? Max did all he could do too. But we knew that when we set Allegri out. When we set Allegri out, it wasn't because it was anything against Max Allegri. It was strictly because you clearly have tools. You have cars in the garage that are not working for that manager. So let's get a new manager to get some new cars in the garage. And we didn't even do that. So for me to sit here and beg, we need Max back. No, that's shortcutting because you don't have a brain circuit to figure out that there's a lot bigger issues, and it starts in the front office. So the whole Juventino thing is because I have better Juventus conversations with non-Juventus fans.
I agree, man. I agree. I think there is a group though that is level-headed and can go back and forth, right? Like you said, the thing about Chiellini. I agree. I think we're going to have to wait and see depending on how he comes back. But yeah, no, it is trending in a way where he is done, right? But I think that conversation can be had, and I don't think it happens a lot of time. I think people like to get emotional and have news sites and then be like, drop their opinion whenever they want. So, and then cry about people going the other way, like especially something that happened with Conte. And, I have no issue talking about my troubles with Rav, and it literally came down to the slander on Conte was on another level. And I'm like, do you forget where we were? Like, people use that argument against me. They're like, do you remember where we were before? And I'm like, yo, like, it started with Conte, man. Like, what the fuck are you guys hating? Okay, yes, he made a professional decision, okay? That, obviously, I wouldn't have made that decision. A lot of other people wouldn't have made that decision. But you know what? I guarantee you, and this is another thing about, he went to Agnelli and said, I want to go back. And Agnelli had the ego and said, fuck you, you've made these comments. I don't want you back in this team. Because every interview, it almost seemed like he's like, yeah, I'm willing to come back to Juve. Yeah, I'll come back to Juve. But I'm waiting for them. If you don't give the guy the opportunity, and then he takes the best available option for him at the time, how are you giving the guy shit? Like, people wanted to remove his star. Do you remember what he had done? Like, that's where I go to people. Do you remember what he had done for the club? Do you remember Cinque Maggio? Do you remember the Champions League final? And I was only 3 years old, and I can seem to have some semblance of an idea to be like, yeah, people might have wanted Conte back in. But why do you feel in such a way, and it always comes down to this, why do you feel in such a way compelled to tell people that it's a horrible decision for them to, and then the blocking starts, and then they'll try and throw in the racism part. They'll start. My only part is when people start, one, not have a conversation with you and start liking other people's tweets like crazy and not say one single word into the conversation. Two, when they start going into other conversations that you're having simultaneously and trying to paint you with a freaking brush by arguing with someone else on some stupid topic. And it's like, yo, are you that petty? You're going into another chat that I'm having with someone that I think you know that we won't get in, a female that we won't talk about right now, but literally pasting me getting angry in that fucking thing into our conversation. Like, dude, like, what the fuck is this all about?
It's crazy because
I don't take Twitter that seriously to go out and be like, I'm going to pull this argument. I know what you've done in my head, okay? I know when you've gone on the Allegri train. I know when you flip-flopped, and I know when you were in my DMs defending him, saying this and that and the other thing, and now all of a sudden you'll go, let's bring up Allegri, but he should have went anyways. Like, what kind of an argument is that? And then other shit when people, let me get into one more thing before you go. With the ticketing thing, exactly like you said, I get into a conversation with a guy who not only lost money or didn't get to go to a game, people on Twitter defended him and were trying to get him tickets by saying, reaching out to Maurizio, reaching out to so-and-so, reaching out. And to someone to come to me and say, oh yeah, the club is trustworthy and you having to go on Viagogo is somewhat of a stupid idea, and you're in the wrong because my club can't have a ticketing site that is fucking 21st century where they can accept my credit card. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? How is that I'm doing whatever I have to do to see my club for the very first time and risk without even going at all. And then, like I said, when you get a guy with a big ego that comes around and is liking those exact opposite, those up the contra to what I'm saying, that's going to fucking piss me off. I don't understand how people think that's not going to. It's like saying it's your fault that Lyon was canceled and you don't deserve a refund. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Wuhan, I stopped in Milan and I came home. That's what I did.
Yep, exactly, man. It's like complete trash. Like, and that's what I get into, and it's just like, fuck it. And now during games, no more Twitter because I can't handle it. I can't handle it anymore.
After or before, nothing in between.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of I've been watching these lives a little bit, you know, just to show some support for Roman. I think he's done a great job. Al's done a great job as well with that. And that's kind of maybe the reason why I'm watching those, just to watch with a couple other. But I agree with you. I don't like watching usually. The only times I usually watch is Italy live because we have an Italian bar where you can go, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Juve, no, in my house by myself.
Right.
Just want to be alone, want to be able to scream at the TV, say whatever the hell I want to say, and just fucking bide my time. But
it's like very therapeutic for me. Like, I'm very analytical when I watch. Like, I don't sit there and watch as a fan. I'm looking at the players on the field. I'm looking at the formation. I'm looking at what changed on the sub. I'm like, you know, and I hate being around people that are just looking at the game. And I'm like, there's so much more happening in this game. Like, that's why I tell my friends, I'm like, soccer is chess. Golf is chess. I'm like, you got to see the moves as they're happening. And you know, these people on Twitter, man, it's like, get a grip. Like, you're on, like, chill. Like, I don't mind going at it with someone. Like, you don't have to agree with me. I tell people all the time, I prefer people don't agree with me. But like, there's some Twitter that I love. Like my friend Nico, for example, the poor guy, he's on private because he keeps getting banned by Twitter. And I'm like, he's not even saying anything bad. He's just telling you his opinion, and people are getting offended by his opinions about things. And then, you know, there's Zuri Phil. You know, I like Phil. I talk to Phil all the time. Good guy. He's got a persona on social media. He should. You know, doesn't mean that that's who he is in person.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of my favorite Twitter Juventus accounts, period, is Tony Malace.
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely hilarious. I think he's a funny guy.
I agree.
And I take his Twitter as a guy who's just trying to make fun of a situation every time. But then you'll have some people who take his stuff personal. And I'm like, when are you going to separate what Twitter is and what this is?
Yeah.
This is very different, you know? And I don't know. Listen, don't get me started on female Twitter. I can't. This is nothing, and not all. There are some who actually know the game.
Oh, I agree 100% with you.
This is not against females in general. This is strictly Juventus female Twitter. To me, is not healthy. And there's that Inter one, Puppuccino. Can't stand her either. But it is what it is. I mean, I get very stressed out by Twitter, so I took a step back.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely good for everyone to do that, because at the end of last year, it was something where it was getting really personal, almost like I was feeling it like very directly, feeling a lot of depression. And even though we were winning, I thought it was something where these shots were coming, obviously not even having a channel. You're like, well, you're probably thinking, how the hell is this guy doing a podcast? He's going to get slated. But no, it was just something where I just needed to step away. And kind of the reason why I waited so long to start this podcast was not really feeling right in how Juve was playing. And even just the whole atmosphere wasn't, I think it was just negative. And not even the fact to be critical. It was just people were just going off on personal tirades and like picking at you. And it wasn't even a conversation. It was, I disagree with you because of this, you spitting facts, and the next thing being hand in your Juve card, or you're a Milan fan, or you're a Merda fan, or you're part of the worst percentage of these fans, and Juventini doomsday and all this bullshit people are coming up with, that it's like, fuck it, I don't need to get involved with this shit anymore, and I'm just so over it. And thankfully I came back. Like you said, there's a lot of good people on this platform that we can sit in front of a camera and in front of each other and have a valid conversation, whether we disagree or not. I had Bruno on, who really liked Allegri, and I told him, I said, I have no problem. Like you said, we had no problem with Allegri and what he's done, and we thank him for what he's done. But you got to be realistic, and I think there's a lot of people that just don't smell the roses when they need to, and you need to have people that are there to keep everyone in check. And like you said, we might not mean anything, but I almost think that the fans are, if we're not there, Juve is essentially nothing. And I've said this multiple times. If the fans go, they're a badge and a sack of money. Really, that's it. So I think what we bring is, and I almost was like, Curva Sud, come on, like, step out of that stadium. Don't renew your season tickets. You will get something out of this, because they're not going to fill that stadium. They're barely filling it this year.
Right.
They're barely filling it this year. So... And we have Ronaldo. Like, that's the hilarious. And then we won't get into the Ronaldo fanboys, because that's just a cancer in itself. A cancer in itself.
I like, their disease, but he is half the problem. You have to skyrocket ticket prices for people who can't afford tickets as it is.
Yep.
Like, live within your means.
Yep.
This is a term for this. It's called, I'm not even allowed, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say what hood rich.
Okay.
They're not PC. I don't know, but it's
don't worry about it. We're good to go. You can say whatever you want in here, man. I'll take the beating.
There's a broad use. Like, rich. It's like you live beyond your means. Like,
you
drive $1 million car, but you live in a shoebox.
Yeah.
So if
I got you.
You have the $1 million car, and now you're forcing people who can't afford the $1 million car to pay for the $1 million car.
And I've had this argument. It would only worked out to be a $3 million increase. Who the fuck are you buying for $3? You're only paying half of Khedira's salary. Don't worry about it. It's literally, it's a drop in the bucket for a club that's making $600 million in revenue in 18-19. And I really can't wait to see this new revenue, this new financial statement, because it's going to be a real eye opener for all these fans that like to say we're big money and all this bullshit that has no basis in facts. And talking about Ronaldo like he's somewhat like that 40 million followers equals dollars, which is not the case, because you'll get people who will buy one jersey, or they'll buy that one jersey, and then that's it. And I mean, whether you can afford to or not, that's up to you, and I have no problem. I am not against that. If you want to buy stuff in from DHgate or from China or whatever, you live by your means. But looking at the brand, you got to look at how much we're actually bringing in, and I don't see us bringing in, barring that initial phase, us continuing to recoup jersey sales. It just doesn't necessarily happen for us. So let's get into let's get into the question time. A couple of guys on WhatsApp dropped some questions that they wanted to ask us. I think a lot of it, we touched a lot of what they said, but we'll give them that shout. Do you think Sarri is going to be sacked at the end of the season if we don't win something? Grazie, Rafa. Appreciate it.
Yes, if nobody hired Pochettino yet.
Interesting. Okay.
If Pochettino's been hired prior,
he'll stay. Yeah, I find it tough because of the, like I said, with the Allegri situation, we were even waiting on his salary. And now we're going to have 2 extra years of Sarri to be paid out. What makes us change? Okay, let's get into the next one. Second one from Rafa. Thank you again. Players you want at Juve, real options or just obviously whatever, pipe dreams? Who do you want to bring in? Who do we need?
I want Tonali.
Me too.
So I'm willing to settle on, and I say settle very loosely, but I would definitely be willing to settle on Zaniolo and Pogba. And I think they are realistic pending sales.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we would need. I think those are perfect options. I kind of wanted Zaniolo and Tonali just because they're a little bit cheaper. Again, with Man U, dealing with them is going to be interesting, and especially with this pandemic, who knows how, with the revenue question, who knows what they're going to want and how it's going to work. So I guess we'll see how that plays out, but that's something more towards the end of the year.
Forward, but at the same time, I don't even know what forwards are available on this market. Like I can't even. I have to.
Yeah, like Milik for 50 million.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, and then I think Raul Jimenez from Wolves is being. Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of that either. I think it's just, though it's going to cost us a lot of money, and I don't know if we're necessarily getting that bump that we need. Felix, grazie. Any Juve youth players we should be excited about? Well, from what they've been saying in the news, Beroato, I think we should try it. I really do. I wholeheartedly say that, where I think he should bring him in if that's the case. If he's a left back, why not? Why not?
I saw Clemenza live, and he's very, very good. So for me, seeing a youth player live was nice to see. I think they even have Fajola. I think some other
exactly.
Another good player to throw in there, but that's just the Italian sector. But we also have Wai, who's the Dutch kid. I mean, there's players to come up. Think about it. Rico Orsolini, he's another youth prospect.
Yeah.
So there's options, but Clemenza for me is my pick.
Yeah, and we just need to get rid of this mentality of not bringing in players that we don't have this trust, so to speak, of these players. And it's like, well, they're in your organization. Why have them in your organization if you can't trust them to do the job when you need to? So, yeah, I agree 100%. I think those would be 2 additions that we should get more involved, because we're going to need them to get more involved, right? And this gives you obviously a perfect opportunity to do some rotation and have them thrown in there, right? So, and see what they're made of.
It saves you a ton of money if one of these players pan out, because if you
Exactly.
get a player to play, now you could dump that extra money into a bigger name. And it just came to my mind, the one player I really want is Hadebor from Atalanta.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm wanting. But
Atalanta's got a lot of great pieces there, and it's probably going to cost us a lot of money because of the season that they've been on. But yeah, let's go last one. What did he say? Marco from What's Up Again. What happens if Sarri keeps insisting in the same player tactics and we don't win against Bologna? Well, then we're fucked.
well, then somebody is going to have to be paying from within. There's nothing we can do again, but I think that if he's going to go in there, and he will run his 4-3-3, he will try the 1-2 touch. With the right players, it'll work, but he doesn't have the right players, and I think he's going to keep sticking to his guns and hope that Higuain comes back healthy, and then he can play Dybala out wide with Ronaldo out wide.
Yeah, and I think we're moving towards like retreat / team meeting territory, like with the board, with the players. I think something's gonna have to be said. I don't know if they're gonna have to bring legends in, but again, let's not. I don't want to push the panic button like you said earlier. We're still in it. We're still in first place, guys. Everything's up to be played for, and yeah, let's hope for the best in terms of that.
The
So
Copa
for this,
is a poor man's trophy. Remember that.
exactly. Well, I mean, it's done for, right? We can't do anything about it. It's over with. Why dwell on it? And we still have a trophy that we've won for the past 8 years to go for, and a trophy we haven't won since '96 that is still up for grabs, right? These are one-leg games.
Which won't be won. But then again, the ball is round.
Exactly. I've said we weren't going to win other games, and Atletico Madrid happened, and Tottenham happened, and
Wow.
so we'll see what happens. But this is with this will be the last segment, obviously, of the podcast. And something I really enjoyed. There's been some great stories told recently, and I think everybody's got their story to tell when it comes to Juve. And kind of what really makes us feel attached to the club. Obviously, some of the times we've gone to the stadium, some of the memorable moments. But let's just hear your first time going to the stadium, the atmosphere. What did you do? Was the tickets easy to get? Who did you meet? Did you obviously get to meet Maurizio? How was that like, the atmosphere? And obviously who we played in the results and stuff like that.
Well, first time I went, I did not go through a round tour. I went through Via Go-Go.
Oh, great.
Yeah, exactly. So I got Juventus Cabo tickets. This was, I think it was 2017. I was off from work. I was like, you know what? I'm finally just going to go. I keep asking people every year to go. Nobody's going. So I did a solo trip. And now it's grown in numbers. More and more people are coming with me. It's
Right.
guinea pig to do it. No pun intended. So, I go there. I get Juventus Cabo. Higuain pops 2 goals. It was really cool. I sat up top, the front row, then middle. Then I also had tickets. I paid $800 for
Jesus.
Juventus Milan. Juventus Barcelona tickets. Like
With
what?
the VIP?
Nope.
Oh, you mean just for the ticket? Oh my.
I paid $800 and I sat. These seats were supposed to be for the opposite side, but second level up.
Right.
So I get there, land in Milan. This can't make it up. Land in Milan. I'm at the train station now. Eat my pizza, and I get an alert. I've been waiting for 2.5 months for my ticket to come in the email. I'm like, where the hell is this thing? I finally get this email. You know what I'm talking about? I finally
Oh my
get.
God.
I look at this email, and it goes, the seller rescinds the ticket to this event, and it is no longer available to you. We regret to inform you, yada, yada, yada. So now, you mean to tell me that I just flew all the way to Italy, I said, for one game specifically, and I'm not going. I call my mother. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to lose it. I'm like screaming on the phone. She's like, in Italian, speaking in Calabrese, we're going back and forth. And she's like, listen, it's like, you flew all the way to Italy. She's like, you're there. You love them. She's like, look for another ticket. Whatever the price is, you won't regret it. I was like, if I find a ticket, I said I'd be lucky. Go right back on Via Go-Go. I find the ticket. There's 3 tickets left. It was 1,500 euro. I'm like, no. I call my mother. I'm like, Mom, it's 1,500 euro. She's like, get the ticket. Hangs up the phone. I'm like, you know what? End of the day, you listen to your mother once in a while. So I buy it. Yeah, exactly. I buy the ticket. And it was the sketchiest experience of my life to this day.
Did you go to that hotel?
Yes.
Oh my God, man.
Believe it or not, actually, at this point, I met up with Around Turin for the afternoon. We got lunch with Maurizio, everybody. And it was, I have to say, Around Turin does a fantastic job of keeping friends together. We all stay in touch. And I enjoy it, as it's not really a fan club. It's just Juventus fans from everywhere to get together. So we have a lunch, and there's this guy, and he's like, I'm not letting you go there alone. I'm like, I don't want to go there alone. Like, this is creepy. So he gets in the cab with me. We go to this hotel. I got to present my passport, my license, everything. I get taken down a dark alley. Okay, I'm like, you're coming with me to this guy. I'm not going to say his name on the air. He comes down the alley with me. We end up in a dark room. We go up 2 stairs. We make a left. I'm traumatized. I sit down. Like, I've seen this in every Hitman movie of all time. I'm like, I know what's coming. So I tell him, watch the door. So I go in there and I sit. She turns on the light, and it's a desk with envelopes, whatever. Fast forward, I get the ticket. Okay, but it was sketchy. We end up at the stadium. So I ended up being at the Juventus Barcelona game. Literally maybe 6 rows from the field, dead center. Me, I'm surrounded by people from Croatia, from Denmark. Very nice. I had a couple of Barcelona fans behind me. I may or may not have laughed at a little kid in his face. I did. I won't even deny it, honestly. So that was when the Dybala coming out party started, where Dybala popped both goals and then Chiellini.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
And to tell you the truth, it was the loudest sporting experience I've ever had, and it was incredible. And at that moment, you realize just how bad we want the Champions League, and so much. It was just insane. And then I was also there when Ronaldo did the bicycle kick, and I was sitting right there.
Oh, man.
I've been to a lot of Juventus games at this point. I would say in Europe, I went to the Atletico game where we lost 2-0. No, oh my God, 1-0. No, 2-0. I'm crazy.
No, it was 2. It was 2. If it's the comeback, it's the comeback.
That's another problem. You don't even know what happened on that one. So I bought that ticket on StubHub, and it says if you're an away fan, you must buy in this section. So I'm like, all right. And it's weird because it's more expensive than sitting down front, but whatever. So I buy in that section. I'm like, it's safer. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
I sit there. I'm there early. I love to watch warm-ups. I'm that guy. I like to study. So I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, the stadium fills out. All I hear at the start is the Atletico Madrid chant, which is pretty cool. But then I'm realizing, I'm like, why the hell is it so loud in the Juventus section? So I turn around, and I am in the middle of a sea of red and white. I'm like, I'm dead. And there was an exchange student from the U.S. there sitting next to me, some really nice Mexican kid. And he looks at me and he goes, just, keep it calm, try to stay low. He's like, best advice I can give you. He's like, they're not going to bother you. He's like, speaking really calmly. I'm like, guy, how much lower can I keep it? I'm sitting here in a Mandzukic jersey. I'm going. So it was like really cool. And if anybody gets to do, you got to go. You got to go.
Yeah, exactly. No, Via Gogo, man, that is a fucking whirlwind. Honestly, I didn't get the ticket that said I got canceled. I know a lot of people have gotten those. I got mine that said, actually, by the way, we're not actually sending it to you by email now. You have to go to this hotel, or it says we'll find another way. Then I get another one that says you have to go to this hotel.
Exactly.
That is the whitest name I've ever heard. I couldn't believe this place was actually in Torino. And I'm like, this is gonna go. This has every right that has the writing on the wall. This is gonna go to shit. All the stories I heard about this damn company, it's coming true with me. And then I walked up these stairs.
No, totally.
And the Via Gogo banner's there. And I'm like, I'm feeling a little better. And then I go in and there's a bunch of, like you said, bunch of envelopes on the table. And he's like, yeah, can I see your passport in Italian? I'm speaking to him in Italian. And he's like, well, where are you from? And I'm like, Calgary, Canada. And he goes, he's like, because you sound like Roman, dialect. And I'm like, is this guy trying to kiss my ass or really? But I mean, I speak more of a, natural or a general Italian, right? I don't speak the dialetto. So
you do what I do probably. You slide in a few of in Calabrese we say ooh a lot of U's. Yeah. So I'll slide that in instead of
or like when I go diet or stuff like that, right? So yeah, exactly. It's more of just it's almost mixed because my nonna's from Rieti, which is in the center of it, well, geographically in the center of Italy, and it's surrounded by, obviously, it's kind of out there compared to Rome, so it's even a little bit different there too. But just great experiences, eh? Like that's what I love. I love about this segment is because obviously you're a great speaker, and you're a good storyteller, and obviously you've told me a lot of stories in the comments and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure I remember seeing your footage of that Barcelona game with Juve. I think you posted it on Twitter a little while ago. But yeah, man, it's unbelievable what we get to do. And again, like I tell everybody, please take the time, go out there, do your research. If you have any questions, you can ask me or really anybody. I mean, everyone helps out. So
Also, like something that I'd recommend for fans. So, for example, even like you, we're Juventus Westchester, right? We're an official fan club of Juventus,
Yep.
and I have friends from Florida, like whatever, and when they go to Juventus games now, I tell them every year, I'm like, listen, like this is our membership fee, and if you plan on going, I'm not saying you have to join every year, but if there's a year you plan on going, or it might be spontaneous, join a club. This way, we can legally get you guaranteed tickets.
Yeah.
It goes onto your Juventus card, where you don't have to go into dark alleys like I had to.
Yeah.
And it saves the headache and the stress. After Viagogo, I went through around Turin more. Then when we got the official fan club, I went through my club. And Maurizio is a really great guy.
Exactly.
He's understanding. He says it too. He's like, anytime you need anything, just let me know. And that's the one thing that Juventus fans need to be like. We're a family, like at the end of the day. Juventus fans, it's always been family based. Agnelli talks about it, even his grandfather and so on. This is how we run the team. And as a fan base, you got to look out for each other. So do what you got to do for each other. Butt heads by all means. Like, if I say I hate your Twitter, let me be clear. It doesn't mean I hate you. It just means I hate literally everything you spew, which is very different than hating you. You know what I mean? Like, I still follow you because obviously I got no personal problem with you. But the contrasting views is healthy for the fan clubs, for fans and boards of life.
Yeah, I've been told that a few times. They're like, "Why do you still follow me?" And I'm like, "Because there's no need for me to unfollow you. You serve a purpose, whether I don't agree with your opinion or not. Maybe you have the news. Maybe you have this. Maybe you do that. To me, I don't take it as I take it personal to a point when it becomes that. But if I don't necessarily hate anyone for even certain shit they'll say, it's like whatever, it is what it is. You had a bad day. People got to be understanding, right? And that's just me, my personality, I guess. But it is what it is. So yeah, man, that was awesome. Great chat. Thank you for coming on. I know we had a little bit difficulties with the time, and obviously it's the morning of Father's Day, so I want you to obviously get back to that. But again, thank you so much for coming on. Check this guy out. He's got some great opinions. Obviously his channel's in a little bit of a pooch right now, and I think everyone will know why. But
we're in private. We're in private right now.
Definitely follow him. Also, he has Juve Thoughts, which is a blog, correct?
Not anymore.
No, you don't use that too much anymore.
No. It's I do a lot more like I'm gonna bring back the podcast, but it's more based.
Yeah,
so
plug it.
Yeah, so we're gonna probably reboot the halfway line, but it's gonna be a different name. I'll obviously let you know and whatnot. And at the end of the day, I enjoy doing this more. Like my life's been a little bit hectic lately, so trying to keep focused on that part of it. And it's nice to do a show with a guy who's as passionate about Juventus as me. So you're doing a great job too. So keep it up.
Yeah, thanks, man. So yeah, guys, that's the show for today. Again, closing remarks as always at Juventinita DAL on Twitter and Instagram. Obviously, we got the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean. Check those out. Drop ratings. Subscribe. Any little thing helps me out. Word of mouth. If you know someone who loves Juve, let them know. Because me personally, I love listening to content, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. I just love to hear about Juve, and I got some spare time, so podcasts have been a really, I think, crucial part of my life now, where I get to listen to different opinions, different topics. And but yeah, keep an eye on Twitter for this. They're always posted there first with all the links, so it's pretty easy for you. And definitely going to be talking to a guy they call El Tactico, or who was named El Tactico by Beppe Bognani. And so he's going to be on next for the Bologna preview. Until then, stay tuned. And as always, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. Ciao.